to mark the launch of the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution in New Delhi yesterday. Prime Minister said the components of Industry 4 actually have the ability to transform the present and future human life. Now, one of the key components of that revolution is artificial intelligence. We have been using computers for a long time, and we know computers can do many things which human beings cannot. But we have to program the computer to do that particular job. And we have supercomputers which are extremely fast. Mr. Verma, in what way does artificial intelligence differ from the way we ordinarily use the computer?
So far we have been using computers to increase efficiency, doing something faster, doing something with the speed. With artificial intelligence, we are going to use these systems where we'll introduce some kind of an intelligence, where machine behaves in an intelligence manner. But this intelligence comes to machine in two ways. One is that we program them and give this intelligence to machine. Second, through machine learning, we make these machines capable of learning as they are working on that. Supposing we tell them they have to do this job this way, but as they kind of come into a field for play, that time they become more and more intelligent as they see the behavior and response from the other side. So making machines behave intelligently is something what artificial intelligence whole domain is all about.
And what is the progress till now, for instance, that we have seen in this area?
If you look at our civilization, we are a product of our own intelligence. With the evolution of artificial intelligence, we are looking at a scenario where we'll be using technology and machines to aid our intelligence, and this gives us an opportunity for our civilization to flourish like never before. But at the same time, it poses a lot of challenges. If you look at public at large, how AI will change their entire lifestyle, we have already seen the examples like, self-driving cars. Movies, we see stuff like, AI-based robots and stuff. But AI encapsulates a lot of other things. I mean, it also includes Google search. It also includes algorithms to make difficult calculations. It involves machine learning, neural networks. From self-driving cars to autonomous weapons to autonomous drones to autonomous bots. There is everything what you can think a human could do will be now replicated by machines in terms of thinking. So for last 15, 20 years, we have been trying, to make machines replicate our behavior, the way we walk and other stuff. Now we're trying to, build machines which can actually think like us and decide better than us.
Today also we see a little bit of artificial intelligence in our mobiles, on our computers. For instance, when we type one first letter, the whole sentence come up. Because, it is sort of learning also. But Mr. Verma, how will artificial intelligence help in maybe improving our life and in increasing our, as you say, intelligence, or making us do things much more efficiently?
See, you have rightly said, artificial intelligence is not something new. This domain we have been studying for almost over 20 years now. But over the time, it has really developed and come to a level where it is ready to use. Second thing, these kind of things need a huge computing capacity. With cloud computing and a kind of computing system, supercomputers we have, it has become possible to mine and churn that kind of a data through big data and data analytics kind of a thing, and machine learning, deep learning, that we can today develop applications which are intelligent in their nature. Let me give an example. Supposing if it's a farmer, how can we make the life of a farmer better with the help of artificial intelligence? So, for example, today these farmers have their soil health card. We have the pictures of the weather and climate from remote sensing. If we put all these things together, we can help farmer telling that what kind of crop he should grow, how much water should he give, how much fertilizers he should give, when should he cut this crop so that he can get the best prices out of this. Each of this has an artificial intelligence component. Today these systems are existing, but they are in silos. If you put all together and weave a system of artificial intelligence into it, this is going to really give kind of a wonderful intelligent system to farmer, which will help him in not only increasing his productivity, but to be able to get best price of his crop. Going further, supposing for some reason his crop gets into some disease, if we can accumulate this picture of all the kinds of diseases, and we could build a system by simply putting a mobile camera in front of that plant, he should be not only able to get what kind of possible disease this plant has, what kind of pesticide he should put it to take care of or to create a remedy for this crop. And let's say further going down, there is some kind of a damage in his crop. So today if he has a damage, he has to apply, and by the time compensation comes, it's a whole cycle, because field inspections will be there and we see lot of stress and anxiety because farmers do not get their compensation on the right time. Artificial intelligence, with the help of drone pictures, today can create a system where farmer just applies that his crop has been damaged and he is already insured for the crop. With drone pictures, his crop's condition could be compared and the insurance amount can be released to him in just no time.
Another area in which we are talking about artificial intelligence is in healthcare. So what are the many areas in which it can really help?
Healthcare can be hugely benefited by artificial intelligence compounded with networking in 2-3 main ways. Today, when we have these people in villages, they do not have access to any kind of a healthcare facility. The good doctor, the skilled doctor, first of all, doctors sometimes may not be there. Even if we have those primary health centers, those doctors may not be that qualified or experienced because the pace at which these new kind of diseases and treatments are coming, everybody cannot manage this. But today, if we have a very robust network, we could have this telemedicine where villagers sitting in any of these places can consult any doctor anywhere in India or even abroad for that matter. If this could become a mainstream, the quality health care could be provided to these people who have to travel miles and miles to come to these big hospitals, wait in big queues and get themselves treated. Second, because these doctors many a times are not so qualified, so they are not able to diagnose the disease at an early stage. By the time it's often seen when these patients reach to places like All India Institute or any big hospital, is too late. Whereas that could have been easily treated if it would have come in time. Let me give an example. People who suffer from diabetes, they are prone to a disease called diabetes retinopathy, which can give them the blindness. If not treated in time, it could be irreversible. That means that they can never get their vision back. But if it is diagnosed at an early stage, one project going on worldwide where the picture of an individual's retina will be placed there, it will be able to tell whether this person has a diabetic retinopathy, what is the extent of diabetic retinopathy.
Without intervention of a doctor.
Without intervention of the doctor. So that is where, and this system is maturing as more and more doctors are also participating, people are putting images, because artificial intelligence said, you build algorithms, then you have to train the models to be able to...
In other words, you say that we have a huge database already.
Yes.
But artificial intelligence can help us in utilizing that database for the use of the public in a better way. We are talking of its use in education. Now, in what way can it really help?
I agree with her, first of all, rightly that, the biggest revolution with AI is going to come in the health and transport sectors along with education. If you take example of health and education, there is a concept called deep learning. So you train your tool over with a lot of big data, with curated learning. And if you have this whole business of big data combined with artificial intelligence and deep learning available to us, it can create wonders. You have examples like tools like IBM Watson, which is actually replacing the conventional human doctor. So what the tool is doing is that it is collecting the data of all the cancer patients across the world of many, many years, and then it is aiding the doctors to advise them to give the precision medicine. For example, if a doctor is giving a particular dose to a patient, the AI-based tool is advising, the machine is advising doctor to reduce or increase the dose or change the dose based on the history of this patient matched with the old records available that, how this medicine might suit. Changing a dose might have a little impact. So you train the machine with a lot of data and it can give you predictive intelligence, predictive analysis that how this patient is going to behave with what dose of medicine. So I think as the time evolves, probably we'll see a future where human doctors will become simply the watchers or curators and the machines will do the real treatment. So far as education is concerned, creating a doctor, giving them degree and knowledge takes 7 years. You train a machine and you can create a doctor in 6 months. With the best of deep learning technologies available. There is a structured mechanism of learning. So there is certain standards which we follow. So if you're training 100 doctors in a conventional, education model, all 100 may not have the same competence and knowledge and the same surgery skills. But if you train a machine on a set of certain database, the results will be 100% common across all the sets of machines.
Does it mean that we are not going to train human beings, but only...
No. That is where the challenge lies. That do we see a threat in AI? Will we allow AI for weaponization? Will we allow AI to be used in offensive robots? We have to make a choice whether we want to use AI to create a life or take away a life. And the fundamental logic is there is too much of intelligence, but there is absolute absence of emotions. So, a human being might think 100 times before taking away a life. A machine may not. You simply give a command and it will take away a life. So that's where the challenge lies, that, the dangers of AI, the weaponization of AI being used in defense for artificial robots, killer robots by different forces, by terrorists. There is no end to it. So that's where, there is a bigger choice which lies that how will we control the use of AI in all the sectors.
But what is being done to avoid such a eventuality?
There are two things. First of all, for the machines to become that intelligent that they can replace human beings in many of the domains is still a long way, because you have to train machines over a time. Still, if you have a qualified doctor, you may still come up with some picture or some symptom a human being may present which machine may not understand. But if it's a close analogy, doctor may be able to. So as we see it, that AI for a long time in many fields will be an assisted AI, where it is assisting the doctor, assisting the professional, giving him the domain knowledge of the whole world. So equipping him with much better knowledge, much better skill and much better input, so that his treatment could be more effective. But at the same time also helping, as you said, whether this person is allergic to this medicine, what is the right dose. So doctor with these kind of AI tools will be able to perform much his treatments and his things far better. That is one part. Second part of ethics, as we are saying, in AI can always be used on both the, as you said, for creating a human life or for saving a life or destroying a life. So these decisions have to be taken very, very thoughtfully, and in many countries and in our countries also, we have set up the committees in Ministry of Electronics and IT, where there is a specific committee which is working in ethics of AI, which will come with recommendations that what kind of policy, what kind of rules and regulations we need to do. Suppose if because of the AI system, somebody gets impacted, whether financially or socially or physically or gets hurt, who will be then sued? Will it be that machine which kind of hurt him? Will it be the person who wrote the software? Or is it the training model algorithm? Who will be really responsible for this damage when AI starts coming into our day-to-day life? So there are a lot of these unanswered questions on which people all across the world are really debating and thinking and coming to certain resolutions that how. This is a field which needs to be explored a lot.
You said a committee has been set up.
Yeah.
Now, how soon is the committee, or will the committee be able to set up guidelines for actual implementation or utilization of artificial intelligence? Because that is very important.
Yeah.
Because without a proper legal framework and guidelines, anything can be done. There will be no limit to the way this can be used.
So these committees will give their report, which will establish that what kind of legal frameworks are needed, and then what kind of amendments in the existing frameworks will be needed. These reports will then be submitted to the government, then to the concerned Ministry of Law and Justice, who is then going to take it forward as far as need for regulations is there and all. So this will be a slightly long run process. But having said this, as I said, there is still a lot of scope for building those AI systems which do not fall into these areas where we really need to worry about, as I told you, helping farmers or helping the healthcare professionals, where it is just giving an assistant that this person could have this disease. Then he gets a cue and then he refers him to the right hospital or things like. These are the places where we can still use it. Another thing is to make these systems, see, we have lot of word over and here also, lot of pilots have been done. But to make AI mainstream, lot of work needs to be done. And therefore, we will have a new set of jobs coming up in our country. Altogether new set of jobs which will make people employable into building and training these AI systems, and which will also require a lot of skilling of the personnel, sometimes reskilling of the existing manpower. But it is also a potential domain for creating a lot of jobs in the market.
Now, what do you think about the risks involved? Because today, digital transactions and digital operations that we do, they are having a lot of risk, cash transfer, monetary transfer and all. And when artificial intelligence comes, the dangers are likely to increase. So what is being done to offset those?
Giving it a simple perspective to this question, for the advantage of our audiences, I'll give you two very simple examples. One was a recent experiment which was done in the labs of Facebook, where they had put two AI-based machines to talk to each other. And within 3 months, they found that both the machines, while talking to each other, developed a language which was unknown to the Facebook itself. And they had to plug it off because they didn't even know what these machines were talking and interacting. So that was one danger when AI-based machines will become more intelligent than you. A second example of the challenge of ethics, as ma'am rightly pointed out, very classic example of Project Maven at Google, where recently Google employees, 3,000 employees signed a letter to the Google CEO saying that we don't think that Google should collaborate with Pentagon in artificial intelligence-based products, especially the imagery for drones and stuff. And they think that probably Google should not be in the business of war. So weaponization of AI has its own issues, so normal employees, normal engineers, normal coders who work day and night to build machines, who write algorithms, I think probably they have a say to decide what an algorithm should or should not do. So that is why when, we as individual countries, we form committees and, other stuff to, look and formulate policies for AI. I think we have to be extremely careful that, these deliberations may definitely give us a policy direction, but we must ensure that we walk with the world and we create a global consensus. Just imagine, like in India, we have a policy that no person without a formal law degree can appear in the court unless and until you are appearing in your personal matter. You have to be a lawyer to argue in a court. There are several online websites, AI-based websites which are available, which are called online AI-based lawyers, which just ask you for your problem. They draft petitions for you, and they even offer you a service for, some $2-3 that if you've got a parking ticket in America, they will also file a, suit in the court and, argue on your behalf. If you have lost your baggage with an airline's flight and you want to claim insurance, they'll draft an insurance petition for you and they'll do it for you. And these are all bots. Second is a very classic example of what recently happened in India. Somebody asked Air India customer care for the personal mobile number and frequent flyer number, and somehow they got it. But the bigger issue was, while they were talking to the customer care representative, very few people knew that they were talking to a chatbot. So we have to look that, while these private companies, lot of private companies are deploying artificial chatbots for the, customer care purposes. But should we have a policy to make this issue a public that, you should inform your customer whether you're talking to a person or a bot. So tomorrow, suppose if you're asking a bot to book your flight, if there is some mistake, whom do you sue, the company or the representative or the bot? You definitely cannot have bot into a jail. So the larger issues of attribution of a crime, there are artificially intelligent bots which are launching DDoS attacks. So we have to look at, do we sue the person who is firing the bullet, or should we sue the person who is paying for the bullet, who is writing the code for the bot?
Is there any legal system to...
So that's what is evolving. Actually rightly pointed out that this is all under discussion and deliberations now, that, how do we deal with the challenges of future? Even if we do not come up with policy guidelines, at least we should have a vision document available with us that how we will deal with the situations. How will we decide whether these websites can be allowed in India, e-lawyers can be allowed in India or not, whether they can draft petitions or not, whether we'll accept petitions from robots or not, or if we allow them, what kind of, regulatory framework we will have, and what kind of punitive measures we will have if something goes wrong.
Now, coming back to this launch of the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution in New Delhi, this is the fourth one in the world.
Yeah.
One in the United States, San Francisco, one in Tokyo, one in Beijing, Japan, I think, China. That gives India a very, important position in the whole business. Yes. Now, how do you think the Indian human resource and other things are capable of meeting the challenge?
I think we've got two fundamental advantages here in Fourth IR, which has been launched recently. One, we've got demographic dividend on our side. We have got a huge amount of young population working, especially in the IT sector, which is going to be the pillar of the Fourth IR. So, we've been long known as, a software superpower, and that's primarily because of, outsourcing industry. But we must now understand the fact that, with this growing business of big data and AI, India is one of the largest gold mines of data available in the world, and unexplored gold mines of data. We've got huge data available with defense sector, with banking sector, insurance sector, transport sector. We have not been able to capitalize and, monetize that data. So that is, I think, one of the biggest advantages we have, that, amount of data we have here in India, we will become one of the largest data chunks in the world. And then we've got a huge population which is young, which is into the IT field already. So converting them into drive this industrial revolution, I think, will be a huge advantage India already carries.
So it will also lead to, generation of job opportunities.
See, if you look at India has three major strengths which will really which may be the reason for having this center here, which is a matter of pride for us. One definitely is we have a very mature, world-acknowledged IT industry, which already has this thing. We have a lot of young IT professionals available in this country. And thirdly, we have a very vibrant startup ecosystem developing in this country, who are the ones who are contributing heavily to all these new technologies, whether machine learning, artificial intelligence, big data, deep learning, and things like this. We can leverage the strength of these three systems to make use of this system. And this system, as has been told, is going to work with our industry, with our enterprises, with our manufacturing units, to help them inculcate these new digital technologies, new emerging technologies, to increase or enhance their output quality as well as the variety of output which they put.
Now, do you think there is a need of, changing our education system?
Definitely, we need a complete overhaul of especially the IT education in our country. PM has been constantly talking about cybersecurity, AI and jobs. But we must understand that when we talk about cybersecurity, it is not only about forensics and information security. It is also about offensive technologies available, creating a startup ecosystem, creating weaponized tools and stuff, securing the national critical infrastructure. So if you look at the larger context in the country, so far we have had only structured education for cyber, only for, forensics and, normal information security. So far as overall focus on cybersecurity is concerned, there is absolute absence of any structured education in our country. And I think that's where the biggest challenge lies. Most of the great cyber experts or so-called ethical hackers in the country, what you can count on, self-learned professionals. They have not come through your conventional education system. So I think that's one area we must immediately focus that, we must not only start to teach them the fundamental concepts of cybersecurity, train them as professionals, but we should also ensure that we give them the right education about machine learning, AI. And while we do that, I think the greatest focus has to be on inculcating ethics and the morality of what you code and what you do with the technology.
But don't you think that this is required very urgently? Because once we decide to go for artificial intelligence, things will move very fast.
I think if we have to avoid cyber nationalism, ethics and morality is very important.
See, not only in the area of artificial intelligence, even things like cybersecurity, things like data analytics and data science, where India is projected to be hub of the whole industry, there is a need for building capacity. While we may have to enhance our courses, but what is more important is to align our existing education in these IT courses, engineering and postgraduate courses to accommodate all these new fields. But another thing which is needed is that many of the things like, for example, cybersecurity, it is not only that you need to understand. You as a citizen need to understand how do you conduct yourself safely in your this thing. So perhaps that education of cybersecurity or that education of data analytics to some extent can be given right from the school level itself. Today data analytics is not only computer science thing. People like economics, operations research, statistics, all of them can get employment. They are the core fields behind this thing. So if we start inculcating these subjects and their potential right from the school level to graduation level, in the other streams of the study also, this can create a huge job opportunity in our country.
But these are specialized fields. Yes. And do we have enough trainers who can train these young students and all?
In the school level, if you talk of cybersecurity, I'll say no. We need to first do teachers training also. But I think once if we put them into curriculum, then the whole system of CBSE, NCERT will gear up. Take an example of disaster management. We had never heard in our schooling time, it was not there. Today you have books, training material, drills in the school level about disaster management, and every child who's coming through that level has a fairly good idea of how to behave or how to act in the case of any disaster. That education has been given. So same kind, but over the time we have geared up, we have risen up to that challenge, and I am very sure our academic community, teachers, everybody will be able to come to that community. We have to build that framework where we do all this.
Some initial steps have been taken. As you said, one committee has been formed to frame the guidelines and other things so that it is not misused and it is not used for a wrong purpose and all. But in future, for instance, what will be the areas in which this artificial intelligence will really, boost turnover or things like that?
I think we've already discussed healthcare and transport. Other two areas are going to be defense and law enforcement. Law enforcement will hugely benefit because, we will have a lot of predictive intelligence coming, from the existing data we have. We already are seeing a phase in our country where we have connected all the police stations and all the data. CCTNS network is already in place. So you already have a profile of lakhs and lakhs of criminals. You know what sort of crimes they have done, when they have done. Now, I think with the development of AI, it will be very useful to see if we can go towards predictive intelligence that, where a crime is likely to happen and by whom. So law enforcement will usually benefit by predictive intelligence and drones, autonomous imagery. If you talk about defense, I think apart from autonomous offensive robots or killer robots, I think there is a huge scope we have for autonomous drones, autonomous underwater vehicles, autonomous space exploration vehicles. So a lot of risky things, I would not like to point out here in terms of information reconnaissance where there was a huge amount of human risk was involved. I think all those tasks could be done by AI-based artificial bots now. I think these are the two areas where we will have a lot of immediate innovation coming in the next 4 or 5 years. And apart from it, if you look at globally, healthcare and transport is going to boom. A lot of AI-driven cars coming in, autonomous cars coming in. And then healthcare, obviously, I see a lot of phenomena because this is one sector where there is a lot of open data which is available. Where there is a the concept of human life is involved, I think lot many people will be willing to collaborate across border lines with each other. And that is one sector where there is no controversy about it. I think everybody wants to use AI for the benefit of saving a human life. So that's one area where a lot of countries would collaborate independently, with private sector, government to government. So healthcare is going to be on a boom with AI.
Do you think that artificial intelligence can ever become more intelligent than human beings and take over? This is one of the dangers which Elon Musk, that SpaceX man, he has said that artificial intelligence needed to be regulated as it posed a fundamental risk to the existence of human civilization. How far is that possible?
To my mind, it is not as of today we are going to see it, but in the long run we need to be mindful of this. There are some domains where, because of the wrong interpretation and wrong understanding, machines can create some kind of damage to the whole system. Therefore, regulation and policy and the right use of these algorithms is going to be very, very critical. So we have to always keep tap on this, that machines, as they're learning and they're becoming intelligent in the right manner. So that domain will always be active. Second thing, regarding your applications, Niti Aayog has done one study where they have come up with a strategic application. They've come up with a report, which is a good report, where also they have highlighted things like agriculture, health, education, transport, basically communications. And another domain which I like to add here is about the cyber security. Cyber security is another big threat. As we are going more digital, everybody is coming into a digital fabric, they are becoming more and more vulnerable to these cyber crimes, which are nowadays, the complexity is increasing and their motivation and all those things is pretty complex scenario today. So to save our citizens who are getting into digital space to be able to conduct themselves safely, cybersecurity is very, very critical. And artificial intelligence can play a lot of role in achieving these cybersecurity objectives all the same.
In fact, I was going to ask this question about the hacking. Hackers, they play havoc with any online systems and all. So unless that can be prevented, I think it can expose us to a lot of danger.
It cannot be prevented. Hackers will also use artificial intelligence to up their attack, and they're already using it. But we also have to, at the same time, use artificial intelligence to defend our system. So it's going to be always, one after the other kind of a war, but it can be used.
So we are already going to be seeing a huge threat to our elections with the emergence of deepfakes. It's a technology where you can create absolutely real-looking videos of any celebrity with, artificial intelligence and deep learning. You can create a video of a man saying something which he would never say. And these are not fake videos, these are artificially generated videos. So they are very difficult to detect, and even if you detect, it's very difficult to send them to a forensic lab and get any audited report saying that, this is why it is fake, because the entire video is never edited. There is 100% lip syncing reality. It learns your behavior, it creates your behavior and then create a video. So, to conclude, I would say that, we have to see that, there might be a time where a machine might carry the collective memory of our own whole universe. It may make better decisions than us. It may make better speedy decisions than us. It may not listen to what we have to say to them. It can decide on its own in our favor or against us. It can be hacked. A machine which may have been created to defend something may be used to destroy something. So we have to ensure that AI should remain our loyal servant and should not become the dangerous master of humanity.
Artificial intelligence has a lot of potentials, but we have to ensure that it is used in the right way and not in a destructive or any other way. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you.